Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on our latest all-new edition of the Milford Informer. Once again, I am your host, Tim Coet. Well, as you can see, we've taken things outside for our Informer episode this week, and really hard to argue as the weather this week has been nothing short of spectacular. A summer-like feel here in New England for this entire week, and so we certainly hope everyone has had an opportunity to get outside and enjoy some of this first real taste of spring that we've had so far in 2023. We've got quite a bit to get you caught up on the show this week, including a wrap-up on last week's local town election. Let's set the table for everything that we have coming up in our top stories rundown. Tonight, we will revisit Election Day 2023 in Milford by giving you a look at the final official vote totals in the contested races, and we'll also share Election Day interviews with two of the night's big winners. Also tonight, we'll sit down with members of the Hopedale High School DECA program to learn about an exciting international competition the program recently qualified for, and we'll also share how members of the community can help with fundraising efforts. And later in sports, we'll share some of the highlights from our early spring sports season coverage in our top plays of the week. Of course, last week was Milford's 2023 town election. Just two races that we were monitoring for you throughout that election season, two contested races, and that was the race for Milford's planning board and also the race for the Milford School Committee. As Election Day approached, we had all kinds of coverage here on Milford TV leading into our Election Day coverage, where we featured interviews at the polls and also live election results from our Milford TV studios. Let's get you caught up on those official results here. If you have not had an opportunity to find out the outcome of those two contested races, here are all the final numbers for you. As you can see in that race for planning board, it was Ted DiPaolo who took home the highest single vote total of the night, and so he will claim the remaining 3 years on that unexpired term on the planning board. And it was also Chris Wilson who was able to earn that second seat, that full 5-year term on the planning board, beating out Scott Vecchiola. And over in the race for school committee, it was one of the challengers, Brendan Rickert, who took home the highest vote total amongst those 4 school committee members. So he will take a seat for the first time on the Milford School Committee, and incumbent Michael Agajanian came in with the second highest vote total. So Michael will serve a second term on Milford School Committee, with a good showing also for Martin Montoya and Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. as well. So those are your official numbers as we finally bring a close to this 2023 election season. But as I mentioned, we were out during Election Day over at the polls to interview any of the contested race candidates who were present that day, and we had a chance to talk to two of the ultimate winners on the night, Ted DiPaolo and Brendan Rickert. We're joined now by one of the candidates involved in the race for planning board this year, and a familiar face here now for the second straight year on Election Day. It is John Ted DiPaolo. Ted, it's so great to talk to you again. How are you today?
I'm good. The beautiful day. We got people coming out to vote. It's a good thing.
So as I mentioned, this is the second straight year that you've come out on Election Day, and you've also been serving on the planning board in an appointed capacity for much of the last year. So just maybe talk about how this last year has been. I can tell it's been such a passion for you to get on the planning board and be able to serve the community.
Yeah, well, I was a firefighter for 35 years. We did the Christmas parade, 4th of July parade. I've always been involved in something in the community. I've always felt you got to give back where you are. And the planning board, it's been a passion of mine, probably 6 or 7 years. And once I retired and I had the time and ability, that's when I started to look into it even further. Now that I've been on the board for like 9 months, 8 months, and I'm actually doing the work, I feel like this was a passion that I really, really deserve to go out and work for, because I see the future of the community and I need to be able to participate, whether it be helping out with the town park, or whether it be on the planning board, anything in the community. If you help out, you make it better.
Were you able to learn a lot in these last several months serving on the planning board, maybe getting that insight that you might have not had as a candidate running last year?
I believe the knowledge and not the learning part, but just the paperwork, just working with Larry Duncan and the rest of the planning board, it's been unbelievable. It's like night and day. You see from the outside, oh, I can do that, or I can do this. But when you get involved in it, and you get that opportunity and you gain knowledge and you're learning, you're actually helping the community because you're not the guy in the background going, I don't know what that means, or I don't. And we get our paperwork 3 days before a planning board meeting. Like tonight we got a planning board meeting. So I've gone to each individual location, looked at the property. I've done my homework on each individual property that we'll be discussing tonight. And that to me is invaluable.
Next up this afternoon, we're joined by one of the challengers looking for a seat on Milford School Committee. It is Brendan Rickert. Brendan, we've been talking about it with all the candidates. Really blessed with phenomenal weather today to be out here with signs on this election day. How are you doing so far today?
Yeah, you can't ask for better weather than this. I mean, you know, getting turnout is important. Usually rainy days deter it. Hopefully this gives some people to get out and vote and have their voice heard.
I know you've been out here already for several hours this morning. What have you seen in terms of the flow into the polls so far?
Yeah, from 7 to 8 it was a little slow, but I know it picked up a little bit between 8 and 10 when people drop off their kids and kind of get their day going. So we'll probably see a little bit of an afternoon rush, and then evening after work we'll hopefully see some more people.
So Brendan, this is your second time running for school committee. The last time around, we had a high turnout. You had a really respectable showing there in terms of vote totals. As you reflect maybe on that election season and compare it to how things have gone so far this year, what are maybe some of the similarities or differences that you've experienced?
Yeah, I think, well, one, it's amazing how many people voted for me. I don't know that many people in town. So, being only in town for 5 years, it was special. I really appreciated the confidence. But I took that confidence and got more involved. I'm in the youth commission now, still a town meeting member. I volunteer at the high school. And I hope that has shown the community that I really do care and that I want to continue to give my time and effort into making the schools better and making the community better. Today, or this campaign season, it's been positive. I've talked to a lot of people. We've knocked on a lot of doors, made a lot of phone calls. And people recognize the name, and they're like, hey, we're happy to see you running again. Hopefully you get on this time. So positive thoughts, right?
I'm curious, as you've been connecting with voters throughout the season, are there particular issues that you've heard quite a bit that are high up on the priority list here in the community?
Yeah, and I've talked about it in the campaign. The high school project, everyone's dying to get it done. The school committee can only do so much. We have to wait for state funding there, but there's other things too. People want new programs. They recognize that there are different opportunities now when you get out of the high school or out of the school system into the workforce that we can offer. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. I know Shining Star is one of the great programs that we offer, and we need to expand it. It's a affordable option for early education for our students, and I think we can do a lot of different things. So lots of different feedback from people. Everyone has their own issues or own things that they care about, but generally speaking, people know that the schools are good and they can still be better.
And so that will bring our coverage of the local election to a close here on Milford TV. Once again, we want to congratulate all of the candidates for all of their hard work through this last campaign season. And I would also once again like to acknowledge the hard work of our Milford TV staff, volunteers, and interns who all participated in our coverage throughout election season, and in particular making our live election results coverage happen. And also an acknowledgement to our former operations manager, Nick Coelho, who made a special guest appearance to help us out with that election night coverage as well. Well, moving on to our next top story now, an exciting opportunity coming up for several students over at Hopedale High School that are part of Hopedale's DECA program. We've had an opportunity to share some stories about Hopedale's DECA program in years past, but just recently here on the Milford Informer, we were able to sit down with several members of this year's Hopedale DECA program as they unveiled details on an exciting international opportunity that the DECA students are preparing for. Let's hear more. Well, this week on the Milford Informer, we're really excited to bring in a group here from Hopedale High School. They are part of Hopedale's DECA program. One familiar face in this crowd from the Milford Informer a couple of months ago, Thomas McSweeney, Hopedale student, and we also have Hopedale students Dylan Whiting and Vinny Kashik with us. Gentlemen, so happy to have you with us. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
So really excited to get into some details on the DECA program. We've really been happy here on Milford TV. We've been able to have some of your previous Hopedale alumni come in to discuss the DECA program in the past, but I'm happy to get into some of the details on what you guys have been doing recently. But first and foremost, I'd love to go around the room first and talk about each of you have sort of a specialized role with the DECA program this year. I'd love to hear a little bit about your individual roles. And Dylan, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
So this year I'm the VP of Marketing, which means I help promote our various fundraisers, and I make sure the members of DECA know what's happening when we have meetings. So I make visuals, post them on social medias, monitor everything. That's about it.
Great. Vinny, how about you?
I'm Chief Marketing Officer of our chapter. I'm one of 3 presidents that we have, the other 2 being CEO and CFO. And I oversee both marketing and hospitality teams, ensuring that their tasks get completed and delegating other info. I also handle some of the higher level leadership activities.
Outstanding. Thomas, how about you?
And I'm a finance manager on the finance team, so I deal with accounting and bookkeeping and making sure members have their dues in, registration for events, and just making sure all of our accounts are balanced and that we have the money to pay for things.
So you guys have been working hard as part of the DECA program. So to refresh everyone's memory at home, maybe tell us a little overall what the DECA program is all about. And whoever wants to take the lead on this can go right ahead.
All right, so DECA is a co-curricular club that helps prepare emerging leaders and entrepreneurs in various business fields, such as Tom mentioned, finance or marketing or hospitality, leadership, any one of these fields.
Yeah, it's a great club. There's about 250,000 student members worldwide, but in our Hopedale chapter we have 60 members, and we're very happy to have them. It's a great club that teaches, I know us personally, we have great experiences learning how to do job interviews, different various skills that you need in the workplace that we're going to need once we graduate high school.
So did each of you sort of have an idea that these were areas that you might want to pursue at the college level or beyond before DECA? What sort of drew each of you to the program? Thomas, why don't I start with you?
Well, I actually started last year in my junior year of high school. I wasn't quite sure that I had wanted to go into business yet, but it seemed interesting, and I joined to get more involved in something different than what I typically did at the school, and I ended up liking it very much, and now I plan to pursue these kind of career skills in the future.
That's really great. Vinny, how about you?
I joined DECA with DECA Junior in 7th grade because the meetings had free candy. And since then, it's become a huge interest for me. In 9th grade, I realized how much I loved the club when I was able to attend the State Career Development Conference. And past that, I've realized that it's one of my premier interests, like business and marketing. And it's been something that I've really appreciated, being able to grow in leadership abilities, being able to grow my character as well.
Dylan, what drew you to the program?
My brother actually was the first in my family to do DECA, and he seemed to have a great time. I wasn't super interested because it sounds like an odd club, but I joined because I felt like I wanted to, and I just started meeting new people like Vinny and Tom here. Had great experiences, great teachers, and it taught me a lot of skills. And then once I moved up from DECA Junior into the regular DECA, I started going to Boston and Orlando and in Atlanta, just meeting so many new people, and it was a great experience for me.
And that's really great. So I know Vinny mentioned the State Career Development Conference, and so that was something that was just recently held and seemed to be a really successful event for your chapter. I'd love for the 3 of you to tell us a little bit more about that.
All right.
So the State Career Development Conference, it's held in Boston in Massachusetts, and we have members from all around the state, all the chapters, all the districts. They have people who had moved on from the district competition or who had advanced directly to the state level, compete in front of judges, whether you're a project with a team, like we were with the Growing Minds Fair, or individual role plays, or virtual business events. There's many different kinds of events you can compete in, and you compete in front of judges through role plays, presentations, papers, written and oral events, and afterwards you are scored, and the winners are announced on the last day of the conference, and anyone who places top 5 in their event can move on to the international competition in Orlando.
Yeah. So we all competed in different categories. All 3 of us did projects. I personally helped organize the FinFit Fair, along with 2 others, my fellow presidents, and that's an interactive fair for Hopedale's senior high students, for juniors and seniors, where they go through a simulation of their life at around age 25, making all the financial decisions from buying a pet to buying a phone to buying a house that they would need to, with realistic salaries based on what they'd like for their job. We also coded a mobile app so that they could easily interface with the fair.
Dylan, anything to add from your perspective?
So I had my project was a little different from Vinny's. Instead of doing real world project management, mine was called an integrated marketing campaign. So my team and we created a campaign for a hypothetical marketing campaign for a local charity race, Kilometers Against Cancer, that we planned out across the 45 days with various marketing activities and identifying who we wanted to really find with our marketing attempts. And yeah, we had a great time.
It really sounds like a lot of the projects and a lot of the activities that you get to be involved in through DECA is really great foundational preparation for moving on to wherever you guys are going to go beyond high school. And it seems like a lot of times when kids graduate high school, and this was certainly a much longer time ago for me, but sometimes kids don't have those skills, those financial skills, those sort of real world skills right out of high school to be able to feel comfortable and feel successful. So it seems like DECA really sets you guys up to really have that success and that confidence to be able to succeed beyond high school.
Yes, I think that's one of DECA's biggest accomplishments when it comes to educating high school students. Even if you say don't move on in the competitions, you're still getting excellent communication skills, learning project management, time management, resource management, collaboration with others. Having some friendly competition kind of helps boost your work ethic, and motivation, and it really helps you develop career skills early on before even going to college. Gives you a leg up whatever industry you pursue.
That's really great. So now you mentioned the top finishers get to move on to that international level of competition. And from what you told me before we sat down here, this is an all-time high of the amount of Hopedale students that are going to be represented at this international level. I'd love for you guys to really share some more of the details about that.
So we have 20 members moving on to the international level of competition, which is almost a third of our chapter, which is huge for us. We've been pulling it up every year, and this is our peak so far. This year, ICDC is going to be held in Orlando with 15,000 other members attending. It's a fantastic networking opportunity for us and allows us to display our skills at the nationwide level.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Vinny and I actually attended the conference last year in Atlanta, and it's a great opportunity. You're meeting so many new people from around the world. There's people from Spain there, all across America, Canada, everywhere. There's a lot of people there. But not only is it about learning business skills and obviously doing your competition, it's more about the experiences you have, going out and being able to explore the city, learning how to be independent and work on your own. I know we had a lot of experience splitting checks at diners and exploring the culture of the city. It's a really great experience.
And so I know that you have a sponsorship program that I'm assuming goes hand in hand with this international competition. I know it's really important to get some details out on that sponsorship program. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so this competition in Orlando, it's obviously very far away. There's a lot of expenses that come along with it, with hotel fees, flight fees, dinner and everything. Then there's the registration fee. So we've been asking for some help and paying for the students, so so that there's lessen the burden on the parents of the students. And a way we do that is through our sponsorship program, which has 4 tiers actually. So we have the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum tiers. This bronze starts at $100 plus, silver $250, gold $500, and platinum $1,000 plus.
Well, I mean, this has all been really fascinating to hear all of the work that you've been able to do and all that you've achieved so far. We certainly wish you the best of luck at the international level, and hopefully we can find out some details on your participation there. But in the meantime, we definitely encourage everyone out in the community, if you want to get involved and help the Hopedale DECA students on this big international trip, definitely use the resources that we've talked about here in this interview to get involved and become a sponsor for the DECA students. Really impressive stuff from all 3 of you, and we really wish you the best of luck, not only in these competitions, but as you continue forward in your high school careers and college or wherever it takes you. But we thank you so much for sharing with us today, and again, best of luck at competition. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for having us.
The high school spring sports season is now in full swing, and what sensational weather the teams had this past week to get out for competition. And we have been hard at work over these last couple of weeks getting a start to our spring sports coverage. In the last 2 weeks, we've had a chance to feature a great deal of the Milford spring sports teams, including softball, girls lacrosse, boys lacrosse, baseball, and then going on just earlier today, we had a chance to take in our first boys volleyball action of the season. All of those games are available for streaming anytime over on our YouTube page. We also cover all of those games live streaming on YouTube. But if you missed any of the action from the last couple of weeks, let's get you caught up with some of our top plays. Another 3-2 pitch, and this is hard hit out to right center field. That's going to get down for a hit and roll to the fence. Driscoll scores as Fernandez slides into second base with an RBI double. And so Milford getting some extra base power out of the lower spots in their lineup. The dishes a pass out towards the far side, towards Jaden Martins. Martins was on this varsity squad as a freshman last year, now fires one parallel to the goal, snuck that one inside the far post. Nicely done by Martins. And that's going to quickly even the score here. Substitutions fly in as this ball comes back out to midfield, but it is stolen right back by the Hawks, unleashing a hard shot. And that was Anthony Maeda, who capitalized on the turnover, sent that ball past the goalie, and we have a one-score game here with 1:46 left in the half. Pass looking for Downing. It's Sharon now trying to gather, but Haley comes away with it. Haley with the low shot gets it past the stick of the keeper, and Carly Haley with her second goal of the half makes it an 8-0 Milford lead. Gains some separation from Bailey Gart. Now finally gives way to Yasmin Martinez. Martinez knifes her way inside and floats that one in past the goalie for her third goal of the half. So hat tricks on each side in this first half. Yasmin Martinez now with her third. Anthony LaPierre. Right-hander and a junior on this varsity roster, getting an early season start, facing the top three batters in the North Attleboro order. Derek Maceda, Dylan Harding, and Jordan Paradise, and he gets a strikeout of Maceda. Very warm temperatures here at the field, but a pretty sturdy breeze blowing the dirt around on the infield as Harding goes down on a waving swing and a miss, and that's back-to-back strikeouts to open the outing for Anthony LaPierre. Lee, the eighth batter to come to the plate this inning for Milford. And now rips this ball down the left field line. It is a fair ball. This will tie the game for Milford as 2 runs cross the plate. It is a 2-run single for Keith Lee, and this game is now tied at 4. Lee took that ball down the left field line. No problem for Joe Butler and Sean McGee to come home. We will continue to have plenty of spring sports action coming up over the next several weeks, so make sure you keep a close eye on our social media accounts for all of the latest schedule information related to our live sports streams. And of course, you can also catch a recap of many of those games here on the Milford Informer. And once again, we encourage you to stay close to our YouTube page as we're continuing to add more content, especially with our sports coverage. So keep an eye on that. That is youtube.com/mymilfordtv. Well, that is going to wrap things up on this week's edition of the Milford Informer. We hope everyone is able to enjoy the school vacation next week if you happen to have the time off, and we'll be back again with a new edition of the Informer 2 weeks from now. From all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.